we are joining for our mini series on A Course in Miracles, where we read through a daily lesson every single day for 365 days. And today we are on day 6, January 6th. And I'm just going to dive right in. We have been reading through the last 5 lessons, and I'm going to read through those before I read number 6 for us. Lesson number 1. Nothing I see in this room means anything. Lesson 2. I have given everything I see in this room all the meaning that it has for me. Lesson 3. I do not understand anything I see in this room. Lesson 4. These thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I see in this room. Lesson 5. I am never upset for the reason I think. And lesson 6. And I'm going to read through the whole lesson for us. I am upset because I see something that is not there. The exercises with this idea are very similar to the preceding ones. Again, it is necessary to name both the form of upset, anger, fear, worry, depression, and so on, and the perceived source very specifically for any application of the idea. For example, I am angry at blank because I see something that is not there. I am worried about blank because I see something that is not there. Today's idea is useful for application to anything that seems to upset you and can profitably be used throughout the day for that purpose. However, the 3 or 4 practice periods which are required should be preceded by a minute or so of mind searching, as before, and the application of the idea to each upsetting thought uncovered in the search. Again, if you resist applying the idea to some upsetting thoughts more than to others, remind yourself of the 2 cautions stated in the previous lesson. There are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. I cannot keep this form of upset and let others go. For the purpose of these exercises, then I will regard them all as the same. So obviously I'm coming on late. For those on the East Coast, it is 10:50. And I'm so glad I'm on here doing this and that I'm keeping to my habit of reading this, but I'm going to start, I really want to commit to starting to come on here first thing in the morning. You know, I do my vertical alignment and that's my habit in the morning. And that's really my time where the principle of it and then the practice of it are different, obviously. So the principle of vertical alignment is bringing my thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, actions, mindsets, everything about me, bringing all of it into submission to my ideals, which then is under the divine. So effectively, this time then, the practice of it is setting aside time every single morning to do just that, to get all of my being into submission to my ideals, reminding myself who I am, reminding myself of my calling, reminding myself of who God says that I am, so that I can live in submission to something and someone greater than me. Because y'all, when we live with just ourselves as the chief aim, it's always going to leave us empty at the end of the day. You know, having someone and something to live for that's outer than us and greater than us at the same time are all just so important. So I'm committing live with you all here. I'm just committing to reading this every morning during my vertical alignment. And so even if I come on here, no makeup on and just kind of messy in the morning, I still want to do that because I wish I had read lesson 6 this morning. I actually think it could have really, really served me. Again, lesson 6 is I am upset because I see something that is not there. And to really get that in our minds, you know, what we're upset about, what is bothering us here in this moment, it's usually not what it appears to be. It's almost like this thin layer. What we're looking at in the present, if we were to kind of like look behind this present moment, there's decades worth of data that is triggering the present moment now. So just as I always do, I'm just going to say a quick hello to some folks who are joining me tonight. I'm live across a couple different mediums, but Samir, thank you so much for joining. Margarita, Voice of Reason, I like that name. Greetings from Greenland. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Amos, good to see you. Voice of Reason, outer than us. Yes. Samir, I am live right now. I'm actually in Baltimore, Maryland. We just watched Wicked at the Hippodrome, I think is the name. And it's good to see you all. Addison, broad, vertical alignment is necessary for everyone, not just religious people. Got to remind ourselves of our oaths, creeds, missions, etc. for our teams. I could not agree more. And frankly, it's not intended to be religious. You know, there's something about just the practice of getting ourselves to a peace, a baseline of peace. Because if our nervous system is activated and we're always stimulated and always kind of in fight or flight, it's impossible for there to be real change. Our nervous system actually needs to come to a position and place of peace in order to introduce a new thought, a new concept, something to change us at a molecular level. So we really can't experience real growth until we experience peace. And then we introduce the change after that. So I love that you said that. Slarfa, thank you for joining. Lendell Jr. I need to know your real name at some point because I know that that's not your real name. Deuteronomy, good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining and for your kind words. There's something, just as I'm kind of reading some of your notes, if we try to find what upsets us, we get more upset. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, Samir, because I found that if I stop and actually sit with the thing that has been upsetting to me and I ask why of it and I just get curious, I find that there's a whole history of something there that I've actually been suppressing. But to your point, if we're not doing the identifying of what's really wrong with us, what's really upsetting us in a safe place and in a safe container where we aren't able to actually be peaceful in so doing, I think it is just going to make us more upset and more activated. So even today I was talking with a gentleman in a webinar, and he's a psychologist and a performance coach. And he says his practice is to help people he encourages people and he helps them to do this. Name the emotion, understand what it's telling you, and then come up with a solution. So it's not meant to just be sitting in the feeling or sitting in the emotion, but the goal is that when I am upset, the lesson here really is just to realize that usually there's something that's not even here in front of me that I'm upset about. And what that does is that it just causes us to, we talked about this the other day with lesson 4 when it was talking about, what does it say? I'm going back to it to read. It says, these thoughts do not mean anything. And that taking thoughts captive and like almost like pulling it, the analogy of like pulling it out of our mind and analyzing the thought and just being curious about it. Because if we're not taking power over our mind, it's going to take power over us, whether it's our thoughts, our emotions, our upset. And so the real purpose and intent here is, can I actually allow for myself to maintain my emotions, my own determined emotional baseline of peace? Let's say I want my emotional baseline to be peace. Am I volatile to anyone and anything that can come and disrupt my peace? Or do I actually have control over my own soul, over my own mind? Or is it just a volatile machine that anyone can come and disrupt? So I'm curious to hear what you say about that. But anyways, y'all, thank you so much for joining tonight. I know that we've got, we're late. I'm going live late tonight. So I know that I'm on here later than it's past my bedtime. Clearly, I'm not speaking coherently. So I'm going to hop off and join you all tomorrow morning for A Course in Miracles reading. And then I'll be going live on the Knowing Show later tomorrow evening, where I'll do a full-blown show. But for now, thank you all so much for joining. Deuteronomy, USA People, Wise Trader, thank you so much for joining. And I will see you all tomorrow for A Course in Miracles, followed by the